Great. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn on April 16th, 2025. I can't believe it's already April. The school year is coming to an end soon. Today, I'm here as well as a few of my colleagues. My name is Twyla. I'm the Director of Outreach. I have Sophie Vogel here. She is our CASFA coordinator who will be giving us some great CASFA updates. We have Cody Eden, who is our FAFSA coordinator, excuse me, and then Jen Lucero, who is our outreach navigator. And we're all going to be doing a little piece of our webinar today. First off, I'm going to give you all some information regarding some initiatives that we have going on at the department. First, we have Education Works, which I don't know if I can put this in the chat. There we go. I think there we go. That went through. So to give you a little information on Education Works, it is a new initiative that the department has just launched. It is a year-long campaign to amplify how learning beyond high school works for Coloradans and Colorado's future workforce. Additionally, the department plans to spotlight our state's focus on work-based learning and internships. So each month you can expect an insightful video that will help you to discover how higher education works. And every week we plan to share goals, data, information, and resources through our social media. So no matter what industry students are pursuing a career in, from technology to the arts, Colorado's post-secondary institutions offer pathways to success. So I just put in the chat the social media toolkit. Please use all of those resources, as well as be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. And within that toolkit, you will find the platform arms. And yeah, just follow us and please try to get the word out about Education Works. Next, we have some additional information regarding, I have way too many screens open. Let me close some of them. Regarding Cozy Achieve. So let me put that in the chat as well. Okay. Oh. Not wanting to work with me. Nope. I don't know, Jen, can you maybe put that link in the chat? Doesn't want me to copy and paste. There we go. Okay, I got it. It worked. It worked. All right, so COSI is a division of the Department of Higher Ed, and I just put in the chat the link for I believe this was the media announcement. So COSI Achieve is a new initiative within the COSI, or Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Initiative, that works to deliver comprehensive support encompassing both scholarships and critical student success services. So COSI Achieve will allocate up to $6.1 million to Colorado public institutions of higher ed and up to $2 million to nonprofit organizations. And in there you can look under what the institutions need to do to request or to be a part of COSI Achieve. I believe the funds get sent directly to the institution, and then the institution divvies out the funds according to students and enrollment. So COSI has been around since 2014, and it shows that students really thrive when they're provided with both financial assistance and support services. So this is another program to help students to complete college as well. So there is that piece. All right, and then one more I have for you all. So we have upcoming Decision Day. Decision Day is traditionally May 1st. Last year we did not promote so much Decision Day, but because I think a lot of it was because of the FAFSA rollout and such. But this year, we're going to be honoring all those opportunities in all pathways, whether students attend a university, community college, private occupational school, an apprenticeship, or even serve in the military. So we are going to be celebrating Decision Day on May 1st. On that day, we will encourage students and staff to wear gear from their favorite schools or alma mater or future programs on their decision day to support students' education aspirations. So we also do have Colorado Higher Ed, and then at My Colorado Journey, and as well as hashtag Decision Day Colorado. We have a whole social media toolkit. We have some flyers, business flyers on there because we would like to encourage businesses to also support Decision Day. And I know it's a little soon, but I don't know if anybody already has any events planned for Decision Day. And if you do, you can just put it in the chat or raise your hand. We'd love to hear about those, and perhaps we can come out and support you in those events. So just put it in the chat if you have anything coming up. All right. So a few items on legislation. We have been closely following two, well, the department's following quite a bit bills with our legislative liaison, but two that we wanted to talk briefly about today. We have our first one, which is House Bill 251192, and that is a financial literacy bill. Right now it is still an active bill, and we are, like I said, watching it closely. It does have a FAFSA and CASFA component to it, as well as requiring all high school graduations to, or graduates to go through a financial literacy course at any of the school districts. So the bill is in the chat. Please check it out there. And then, oh, that's in there twice. So then we also have Senate Bill 25276, which is protect civil rights immigration status. And this is also goes along with the College Opportunity Fund and removing the affidavit requirement in there. So you can read, I'll put the link in the chat. You can read through a little bit more thoroughly on that bill. Okay. Sorry, I know this is a lot of info. Of course, we will post all these links and information and the webinar online following this event today. Next, I am going to go ahead and send it over to Cody, and he is going to give us some FAFSA updates. Cody, take it away.
Yes, there's the unmute button. Thank you, Twyla. I appreciate it. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. If you've been on these webinars before, you know this is my favorite part, so bear with me. Slideshow. Team, does that look okay? All right.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so again, my name is Cody Eden. I am excited today to talk to you about FAFSA updates. Starting with Colorado data. So this is the chart that we've shown before, demonstrating the current as of the 4th of April, our current data with FAFSA completion for current seniors. So the current ranking right now is 42nd in the nation, so we've got some work to do, of course. We're sitting at about a 35.7% completion rate, which is a little bit below that national average you see at 44.7. Do have a couple links there, both for the NCAN FAFSA tracker and our CDHE FACT portal. That's the more local portal that can actually track student level data. So if you're not familiar, I do have the Lunch and Learn from last month linked on this slide. Starting at about the 20-minute mark, there's a much more thorough review of the FACT portal. So if you are a public educator in Colorado right now in this webinar, interested in access to student level data for your students, that's the best and only way to get student level data for that. It allows you to monitor status and intervene with students as needed if needed. So moving beyond the data aspect, I want to talk about a current resource that may not be viewed as current. So the 25-26 prototype is still available, has been used several months. You all may be familiar, but I wanted to make sure to highlight some current uses as it still is potentially relevant to supporting your students and families. So if you're not familiar, the link and QR code is there. For first-time users, we do need to use that prototype access code as well. So you may need to enter that before entering the portal. But this is a great way if you've never seen it. Why it's important right now in April. We know the year is quickly coming to a close, but we wanted to remind you this prototype could be beneficial. Based on our data, we very much will have new FAFSA and CASFA applicants starting the process now. So it's a great introduction tool to allow them to preview it before actually jumping in. And we also know right now in April, May, your rising seniors, your current juniors, are going to be asking questions and trying to get prepared. And again, this is just a great tool for them as juniors heading to their senior year to get a preview. This tool also has some ability to demonstrate some of the corrections on forms. There are limited capabilities depending on the specific correction, but definitely some good options if it aligns with some questions you're getting in your offices. Speaking of those questions, I know that parents and contributors are asking, hey, my signature is missing. How do I fix this? How do I correct this? There is a prototype demonstration specific for that. So whether it's you previewing that before the meeting with the parent, or maybe you are sending that to the parent directly as a resource, some really hopefully helpful things for you to save some time and resources on your end in your office. Similarly, we can answer the question, where do I find my SAI as a student? We're actually going to take a deeper dive on that today together in the FAFSA summary page and the next steps that we will look at live. So again, the prototype's still out there, still potentially relevant for these reasons, and we hope that you are continuing to use it if you see the need. I'm going to breeze through these two screenshot slides just because we're going to demonstrate it live. And I'm going to jump up to the Federal Student Aid Info Center. We did report last month, of course, in the news with the reduction of staff. We are happy to report that the federal partners are sharing this specific staff with the Federal Student Aid Info Center is not impacted and is still operating at full capacity. The link to their website and more information is there, as is their phone number and availability during the week. So just wanted to replug that and reintegrate that despite some of that staffing change, this specific resource is still available at the federal level to help us troubleshoot. At this point, I'm going to stop my share briefly and then reshare a different page because I would like to demonstrate, if I can figure it out, I'd like to demonstrate on the tool itself for the prototype, so I can show you those screens. I believe that made the transition over. So when you get into the prototype, this is what the screen looks like. You'll see these are all of the examples of different scenarios you can jump into. So that's where, if it aligns with a direct question you have in your office, amazing resource to plug. What we're going to do is look at specifically the FAFSA submission summary page, particularly relevant here in April, May for students who have submitted or are maybe making those last corrections. So this is a student view as they come in to their portal to confirm where their aid stands. So the eligibility overview tab is going to give them a preview of what they might be eligible for on federal Pell Grants, direct loans, and if they are or aren't eligible for federal work study. So this, we want to reiterate, it's up to these amounts. Definitely need to be contacting your financial aid offices to get that actual package from schools and direct numbers from each of your institutions, but this will give you an estimate based on your FAFSA submission, what your schools are receiving. Maybe most importantly on this page, the SAI is hiding at the very bottom. So as a student, if you scroll down, you're going to see down here your SAI is listed. And in this example, it's -355. So again, that is the number that is sent to your schools and they are using to determine your need and eligibility for financial need. So that is a common question right now is where can I find that? Students log into this submission summary page, scroll down to the bottom and you've got it. Another tab I want to highlight quickly is over here on next steps. Because this is important and likely echoes some of the guidance you all give students. So I love that it breaks down, hey, consider these 3 things, specifically around correcting any errors on your FAFSA form, adding a school you might not have realized you might consider. Maybe you're deciding to shift gears to a community college route and you need to add that school. That's very common right now. So highlighting that ability here. And then on this 3rd bullet, encouraging students to advocate and start checking that email very diligently for updates as they may be hearing from their institutions with correction needs or other fixes. The other benefit is reaching out and making sure they're not missing any potential funding sources. That institutional aid application and other specific scholarships to their schools could be something students are missing the boat on. So always reaching out to that financial aid office or accessing their website to confirm post FAFSA submission, what's next? What else can I do to increase my package and reduce the amount of need? Let me see, I think that is all I wanted to demonstrate live here. Again, anything I showed is on the screenshots. So the presentation that's posted will still show this information. But that is what I wanted to demonstrate for the prototype for today. I'm going to circle back into the chat here briefly. Direct link. Thank you for the help in there, Sophie. It looks like I am all clear to transition on to Miss Sophie Vogel for CASFA updates.
Awesome, Cody. Thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Sophie Vogel. I'm the CASFA coordinator. I'm going to share my screen and do some CASFA updates. Please let me know if you can't see things correctly. So for you all to know, the Colorado Department of Higher Education has expanded the CASFA eligibility to students from mixed status families who qualify for federal student aid, but prefer not to share their contributors' personal data beyond Colorado higher education institutions. CASFA allows students to apply for state and institutional aid or similar. Students should keep in mind that state and institutional aid may not fully replace forfeited federal aid. Also, in terms of data security, the Department of Higher Education prioritizes the privacy and security of CASFA applicants. Information provided through CASFA is used solely to determine financial aid eligibility and is never shared with third parties. Federal law, which is FERPA, protects applicants' personal data, ensuring that it cannot be disclosed without a judicial order. Here's some information about CASFA for mixed immigration status families. So that is the definition when we're talking about mixed status families. What we mean is mixed immigration status. An example of this would be a student who was born in Colorado who's a U.S. citizen whose parent is undocumented. There are lots of other examples as well of students from mixed status families. However, that is one example. National College Attainment Network, who's NCAN, said, "We believe mixed status families should make a considered decision about whether to submit identifying information to the federal government in an FSA ID or FAFSA. This guidance may be particularly relevant to mixed status families who would be participating in the federal aid application process for the first time." And I do want to highlight that students who choose not to complete a FAFSA are foregoing their access to federal aid, for which they do qualify for and are not guaranteed to receive state funding. So some guidance around determining a student's eligibility under CASFA expansion. So I want to highlight and emphasize that forfeiting federal student aid is a huge decision, and only a select population of students from mixed status families or MSF students should choose that, right? So this is potentially $7,395 for the next aid year, depending on how long a student could forfeit this. It could be 4 years that a student is forfeiting their federal student aid. So that's, pretty close to $30,000. So this is a huge decision that a student and family will make. A little more information is that students from mixed status families can complete a CASFA. They're eligible for federal student aid, and they're choosing to forfeit their federal student aid without any guarantee that state or institutional aid would make up the difference. So this option is particularly relevant to 12th grade students from mixed status families whose parents haven't already provided their information on the FAFSA of an older sibling, right? So those are the families who haven't already provided their information in a federal database and could potentially benefit from keeping their information private. If the mixed status family student is a Colorado student and demonstrates financial need via their CASFA, they can be awarded the Colorado Student Grant. And based on their SAI from their CASFA, their institution can award them need-based institutional aid. Potentially, they could be eligible for need-based scholarships, etc. Students from mixed status families should consult with their high school counselors or financial aid advisors about financial aid decisions, understanding there are many factors to consider specific to each family's circumstance. So the President's Alliance on Higher Education and Immigration suggests these 5 talking points. So confirm eligibility for federal student aid, address security concerns, avoid talking directly about immigration status, consult experts when appropriate, for example, immigration attorneys, and talk through pros and cons of CASFA submission. The QR code links to the President's Alliance messaging. I think that this is a terrific tool. So for those of you who don't know if your students need to know about this option, this is a way for you to share information with your students so that students are not directly asked about their immigration status, not singled out, and students understand the severity of the decision to forfeit federal student aid and only apply for state and institutional aid. There is some contact information for me in the CASFA website. Thank you so much. I know that was really fast. It might have been a little too fast, come to think of it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and maybe open up for questions now. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to address them. You can put them in the chat. You can come off mute. You can, whatever works. We can also circle back to this later. If you don't have a question right now and you have a question in 5 minutes, we can talk about it in 5 minutes. So I'll transition to my colleague, Jennifer Lucero. Jennifer is going to share some resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophie, Cody, and Twyla for all that great information. I am Jennifer. I am the outreach navigator for the department, and I'm going to share my screen because I am going to share some resources that today are on our website. And if you've ever been on our website, you know that it can be a little bit tricky to find what you are looking for. So here is the link to our website if you'd like to save that to your favorites. Now, I'll be honest, there are several ways to get to these resources, but I'm going to show you the easiest way to hopefully that you can remember. So whether you are a student or you're helping students, you can click on this tab here, the student tab. It shows you preparing for college, attending college. We want to go, if you're a student, to preparing for college. and then financial aid for students. This is a quick link to all of the different program applications. And so that can be really easy to find and a quick way for them to get there or for you to get there. If you work in education, if you're a professional, you may want to click on this post-secondary education programs and services. So let's say, for instance, you did miss the Lunch and Learn that Cody mentioned earlier. You can click on Lunch and Learn, and that will take you to the Lunch and Learn page where all of the recordings are and the registration link as well. What I like about this page is this menu over here. As you can see, there's the educator financial aid training page. If we had any scheduled, they would be listed there and you could register for them. Next, we have the resources tab. This is a great page. It does have links that can take you to the FAFSA or the CASFA application. And then if you scroll down, these are some really great resources you can use if you are going to have an event or you're just trying to help students and their families. In fact, if you've ever invited us to your events, you've probably seen many of these documents. For instance, creating the FSA ID walks them through, allows them to write down the information so they can keep it handy for the next time. Oops, that changed me, sorry. Let me go back to resources. You see how it's a lot easier to manage that side menu than trying to do the tabs. And so here, I know that we use the scholarship tips a lot, types of financial aid, and what it, there's one other in here that we use. Oh, the FSA ID. So those are all, these are pretty much all documents that you can download and print, hand out at your college office, or if you are having an event. These are more websites that you could use. A lot of them are FSA or Schoolhouse Connection. Next, you can see that we have the FAFSA, CASFA in English or Spanish, and these are the actual toolkits. And so first off, it does give you the links for the applications and a little bit of preparation here. And then you can actually access, if you are a student and parents, you can come in here and see that there is the resource guide. Net price calculator is often something that students and parents are interested in, and maybe determining your eligibility for CASFA. And then we also have one for professionals. This is everything you just saw in the last toolbox, but you have the fact sheet and how to host a CASFA FAFSA event there. The FAFSA ones, now these were just specific to CASFA. These two are specific to FAFSA. They include the documents and I believe that the net price calculator as well. Yeah, right here. This is the professional one. But then there's also a link. Sorry. On these toolboxes, there's also a link down here, like Cody was mentioning, the FAFSA completion tool. So if you are interested in seeing where a certain school district or school is landing with their completion, you can click there and it'll take you to that website. On this website, just underneath the toolbar, toolkits, we do have the FSA ID creation dashboard. This will show you by district, where everybody is landing right now. We can see that Jackson, excuse me, not by district, but by county. Jackson County is at 100%. They have 10 students, but that's still great. San Miguel's looking at 75. So you can see where your county is and maybe how you can help, excuse me, in that regard. The financial aid programs for students with foster care or homelessness experience, this will take the student directly to the page where they can see if they're eligible and apply. And then I could show you that real quick. So it has each of these, the ETV, the foster ed, and the Empower Ed there. They can click on those, see the eligibility, and then apply if they're eligible. The events page, I think, is one of my favorites. There are actually a lot of resources on here that you can use. So if you are having an event and you need some assistance or you want a presentation, you can fill out the event request form. Our email is also here. You can shoot us an email if you have questions. And then there's also the sign-up form for our newsletter. And the newsletter is a great resource because we're always putting upcoming events on there and registration links if possible. On this events page, though, we also have Cody, me, myself, and Sophie have our office hours on here. So if you know or are working with a student and contributors who need help or assistance completing their FAFSA or their CASFA, they can come here and book time with us. It is in 30-minute slots, and usually we can help them in that amount of time. But they can, it will be a virtual appointment, and we do ask that they are able to share their screen because it usually helps us go a little bit faster. Right under the office hours, we have our upcoming events. You will find the Lunch and Learns here. So as you can see, our next Lunch and Learn is May 14th. This is going to be a great Lunch and Learn. We are having a special guest from College Aid Pro, and they are going to be talking about 11th grade prep. And there are lots of states that are proving that early preparation is helping their seniors to success. So that'll be a discussion you won't want to miss next time. It will be recorded and put on the Lunch and Learn series webpage if you do happen to miss it. Educator financial aid trainings are here as well. You will find them. And then our upcoming CDH outreach events. Now, these are either events that we're actually attending or we're just helping to promote. So for instance, Arapahoe Community College asked if we could help promote their FAFSA Fiesta coming up on April 22nd. And of course, we are happy to do that. They gave us the registration link so that we could put it there. So if anyone's looking at those events and wants to register, they can. You can see that on May 1st, we are collaborating with Representative Pedersen's office in a tuition and scholarship resource fair. If you know someone who would like to attend that, the registration link there. Don't forget, May 1st, like Twyla mentioned, is Decision Day. This link here will take you to that website that she was talking about with the toolkit and the social media, the flyers, everything like that. And then also let us know, again, if you need any assistance with your Decision Day events. And then those are just some conferences. But if you have an event coming up, please feel free to send us your flyer. Adams State is so good about giving us their event information so that we can share it here. Of course, they have this FAFSA webinar that goes on, but they are also doing a virtual information session Thursday, April 24th at 6 o'clock and Saturday, April 26th at 10 a.m. And we will add this to our event page and get the registration link up there. If you would like your event added, don't forget you can contact us at this outreach at dhe.state.co.us. Great.
So I think we had some questions that were put on the registration form, Jen.
Yes.
Are we going to go through those? Great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sophie, for the share on the screen. I appreciate you. I do have the first couple questions. We'll go ahead and go through. These were submitted as registrants signed up for the session today. So do encourage you all to do so in the future and add your questions accordingly. So this first question, what questions do you have about the new FAFSA or CASFA? How to reduce the amount of family contribution? Certainly a question many families are asking. Is always the goal to access as much free financial aid as possible. So of course, we want to make sure they're encouraged to apply for the FAFSA or CASFA. making sure they're opening those doors on a federal and state level as applicable. And specific to work study, making sure they understand being offered work study and earning work study dollars are two different things. So yes, you can qualify for work study, but you still need to get that job tied to the work study opportunity for those dollars to be applied to your account. Of course, institutions have lots of support in that regard, but making sure students know qualifying for work study different than earning those work study hours. Scholarships is a all the time process for seniors and for students. So making sure they're accessing those other forms of financial aid, lots of private organizations, institutional-based scholarships at schools, lots of different routes to take. And ultimately, the post-secondary option decision, right? Like a community college route may be more affordable to start if you're starting to get your packages back for financial aid and realizing it may be more expensive than you thought. Maybe shifting gears and adjusting your plan if needed, if possible. But making sure you know your options is key. Another option is COF, the College Opportunity Fund. That is a specific stipend for Colorado residents attending a Colorado institution. So that's a per credit hour stipend that you are able to get. You just have to authorize it at your school. Similar to the work study and the award packages in general, COF is something your institutions absolutely will be pushing for you, but why not get ahead of the game and check out that website now? The next question I want to run through is any new updates for a college counselor who would be working with students to complete the 25-26 FAFSA and CASFA. So definitely these first two are assumed, but never want to be overlooked. Completing the forms, of course, and then encouraging that follow-up with financial aid offices at their institutions, maybe the top 2 or 3 schools on their list, just to triple check, do you have my FAFSA or CASFA information? Any need for verification or any strange steps needed in order for me to get my financial aid award package? And in addition to that, where and when do I find that aid package? So just keeping yourself in the loop on those institution-specific processes is huge. And as Ms. Sophie has chatted about earlier, the mixed immigration status families are in a bit of a unique boat this year, and a recent change with the CASFA in establishing the ability for them to complete, understanding they are forfeiting any federal student aid, the Pell Grant and things of that nature. So certainly a continued conversation for folks in those boats, and something that we are happy to support as needed. And then in addition, these monthly lunch and learns are a great way to kind of keep up with most recent changes. There was a gender question change a couple months ago, so just anything that's pertinent to the forms currently are usually caught in these lunch and learns. So just encourage you to preview past ones if you have not already, to catch those updates throughout this school year. With that, I think I'll transition to Sophie for question number 3.
Thanks, Cody. I'm going to field the question. So someone said they want to learn what to expect and changes for refugee and immigrant students. So refugee students are considered eligible non-citizens, so they're eligible for federal student aid. I think that connecting with organizations that support refugees and to get a pulse on the current educational landscape and how it's changing is the best way to learn what to expect. I have no updates at this time about what we can expect in the future for refugee students. So I will share that numbers last reported in the news were around 20, but we expect that the number is higher of international students who have been studying in Colorado who have had their visas revoked. So these aren't actually immigrant students, they're international students, but that's the impression that I think the person meant in the question. So we're talking about 20 or more international students who've been studying here in Colorado who've had their visas revoked. So some information I can share about this is it's a rapidly developing area of immigration enforcement. Every student's case is different. If you or perhaps a student that you support has received a visa revocation notice or a SEVIS termination email, 1, do not panic. 2, do not assume you have no rights. 3, talk to an experienced immigration attorney. So I will share in the chat this resource from President's Alliance on Higher Education and Immigration. I think it's important for organizations who support students and, of course, students to understand what this means for them here in the United States and what it means for their program of study. So hopefully those resources are valuable, and we can field more questions later or next month. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I think we've made it to the end of our agenda. Is that right, everybody? So the floor is totally open for any questions. Thank you all for coming. If you don't have questions, you can stay to see if someone else has a question. You can hop off. We appreciate your time and commitment to Colorado students.
Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat or anybody's hand raised. Thank you all for joining us today. We will make sure we post the links as well as today's recording on our website. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good day.